to the other adult classes. They use a different book, so what I try to do is teach 1 week out of the ones we use, and then the next week out of the other adult class. So like I said, all our books are down here. Okay. When we were young, we still have some that are younger, but most of us are older, and some older. You know, when you're young, you have, you think this is important, that's important. But as you get older, things that used to be important now, you thought back then, they don't amount to anything now. So how we look at life and things we look at as we get older, it changes. When you career or getting your diplomas and maybe get your first car and driving, as we get older, we're trying to think of our time, what kind of investment, think about, we look forward to our retirement years, our children growing, the grandchildren. But whether we're young or whether we're old, the most important thing that we can do or see is the value of investing in relationships with each other, our families, children, grandchildren. But the main one is having a relationship with God, because we know that time, life is very short. Only our breath or our heartbeat away, so we never know when that time is going to come for each and every one of us. Death doesn't discriminate against age. So as we go into our lesson today, I had a little thing here about in Hebrew about what the heart stood for, how they looked at the heart. We know that we see someone, we tell someone, I love you with all my heart. A lot of ancient cultures taught everything about your life or everything centered around the heart. We know that the Israelites spent more than 400 years in Egypt in captivity before they were led out by Moses. So a lot of the Egyptian culture influenced the Israelites' understanding of the heart. The Egyptians believed the heart to be the place within which the personality lived. So we know that how the Egyptians looked at things, how they looked at death. But we know that when they made the mummies or mummified someone, the Egyptian embalmers left the heart in place in the body. Even though the other organs were removed from the body, they left the heart. So the Egyptians believed the heart played an important role in the afterlife. According to their theology of what they thought about the heart was placed on scales and weighed by the judges of the underworld. If the heart was made heavy by bad deeds or how you lived your life and was found to be heavier than a feather, the person would be eaten by the beast in the underworld. So we see how the Egyptians, their theology and how they believed. But we know in the Old Testament, the word heart is used 851 times. So we see how the difference in the heart, what we see in the heart. Israelites understood that the heart was where, your heart is where, we lie within. I said, everybody can see your outside appearance and see how you act, how you do. But only God can see what lies within the heart and what's truly there. But a lot of times, the action, how you conduct yourself, and even your testimony, it shows what's in your heart. So I tell them that, you can hide things from your parents and hide it from everybody, but you can't hide what's there from God. So that's something about the heart, that how the Egyptians looked at it and the Israelites. So we see, as last week, our lesson today deals with, relations with a husband and wife. And we're in Song of Songs, chapter 5, 6 through 16. We see that, as we spoke last week, our lesson today, the man and the woman in the poem are now married and learning how to live as one as they grow into their relationships. So, you know, when you're, I guess when you're courting or dating like we saw in last week's lesson, and now they're married, you know, things are different when you're courting than when you say I do. You know, you really, when you live with someone, you really, I guess you say you really know a person when you live with them. And so, we see here that they showed the value of investing in each other instead of giving up on one another when they face conflict. You know, how easy we see in our society today that maybe deal with a couple not very long, things happen, and hey, their attitude, hey, we can get out of it that quick, and all we got to do it. And you see by the, sometimes you hear people been married 3 or 4 times. So we see how I think it's so easy to get out of it. But they're saying here that they saw the value of investing with each other instead of giving up on one another when they face conflict between themselves. Was that road going to always be rosy? You know, you married someone, you know, sometimes you have your up and downs, but for your love is committed and you put in God and you work through these things. So she's describing her love for him. He told her that he had never seen anyone more beautiful. Her physical appearance showed her beauty and her strength of character. So we see that the man put his wife on his chariot one day and rode through the city with her so everyone could see her beauty. He described the depth of love he had for her and his longing to be with her. So we see that they were committed to each other. Because of her trust and the love they shared, she invited him to leave the city and take a trip with her to a location far away from his work where they wouldn't have any distractions and have each other's company to enjoy. She wanted everyone to see the love she had in her heart for him. And she wanted him with her always. Here we say she talked with him about her desire for him to keep her in his heart. Then she described their love for each other. And so they're building a relationship. So we see here in our first scripture, verse 6, it says, the cry for companionship. It says, I opened to my beloved, but my beloved had withdrawn himself and was gone. My soul fell when he spake. I sought him, but I could not find him. I called him, but he gave me no answer. So we see that last week in our lesson, we saw that the woman talked about a dream in which she searched for the man, the love of her life. And then now she's had another dream. She's saying she looked for her beloved, who was now her husband. She wanted him and needed him, but he wasn't there. Her heart was broken over his mysterious and sudden departure or leaving. She began to look everywhere, but could not find him. She called out his name in hope he would return to her, but he didn't answer. So here the woman is very much in love, and here she's heartbroken. She can't find him. She wants his company. So we see that the dream was, this second dream she had was a picture of a spouse who had felt that she had been deserted. She couldn't find him. She called for him. She was left by herself. And he wasn't with her or physically there with her. So here we see this dream, we see the picture shows the pain that comes from being deserted and abandoned. That's how she was feeling in her dream. And so we see that here in verse 7, it says, a watchman that went about the city found me, they smote me, they wounded me, the keepers of the wall took away my veil from me. So we saw in last week's lesson in her dream with the watchman. She's having this, what they did.